Mr. Rajiv Agarwal ji, Mr. Sujay Chaudhary, Commander No Joseph, other participants and dignitaries of the dais. This indeed is a privilege to be part of the ChemTECH Foundation. On this specific session, because you're all part of a 50-year heritage started by the Jasubhai group. And why I'm talking about this 50-year heritage is, it's a step towards nation building. And there are three specific things that have been advocated when the ChemTECH Foundation was founded. The first was innovation as a differentiator. The second, invention as a strategic tool. And the third was collaboration to build institutions and countries. It has been from platforms such as these where the inaugurals have been addressed by none other than Bharat Ratnas like former President APJ Abdul Kalam, by Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji during this 50-year journey. And why I have said that is, we need to understand journeys start with such collaborations. The Honorable Prime Minister has talked about a promise to ourselves as Indians, Viksit Bharat 2047. Viksit Bharat ka jo sankalp hai. Here, coming from the colonial yoke, after finishing 100 years of freedom, what would our nation, which is your aspiration and dream, as also every Indian's, be like? It will be a world leader globally, economically. Today we are at the 4th position, and by 2027-28 we will cross Germany as the 3rd largest and fastest growing economy in the world. We are the most populous, yes, but in such global politically challenging times where geopolitical realities change, India remains steadfast as a voice of integrity, a voice of dependability and stability. Having said that, coming to the specific session focus of today at ChemTECH World Expo 2026 on surface engineering, coating and corrosion. Two of my eminent colleagues on the dais spoke eloquently about how pervasive corrosion is and what economic loss it entails. See, globally, $2.5 trillion is what is the cost of corrosion. That's around close to 3.4% of the global GDP. Every year, globally, we lose around $50 to $80 billion per year. When we come back to India itself, close to $102 billion, which is 4.2% of the Indian GDP, is lost because of corrosion. And it's an avoidable cost because 25% is lost by direct corrosion, which is close to $25 billion. All of you would realize 1/4 of the steel that is produced, 25%, is lost to corrosion. And the replacement cost is 4 to 9% of the total carbon dioxide emissions. I'll tell you how this relates to each one of us. Commander Joseph had very eloquently said, maritime routes, ships, they move 90% by volume and 75% by value. The cargo that comes into the Indian economy and is exported out. And corrosion at sea happens 15 times much more than on land terrestrially. Seawater is an ambient electrolyte, and you are aware what damage it can do, which was mentioned again in use of seawater as a cooling agent. So think about vessels that go out, keeping your global supply lines up. The clothes that you're wearing, the phone that you're using, even the chairs that may be there, have all come by maritime routes. So you have to understand how corrosion affects you. I'll give you a perspective on shipbuilding. See, globally, the steel demand around 2024 was 1.8 billion tons. And this is growing every year, expected to grow close to 3% compounded annual growth rate up to 2030. That means the number of steel skyscrapers that you will see in our own Amchi, Mumbai, wherever construction is happening and expanding, all structural elements, these all consume this global production need. As you grow economically, you consume. What hits it negatively is corrosion. Shipbuilding alone, you all must have heard the Honorable Prime Minister announce at this very venue, at Nesto Goregaon in October, we had the India Maritime Week 2025. More than 150,000 delegates participated, 5 chief ministers were there. Close to around 62 international delegate heads of states were here. The Honorable Prime Minister addressed the nation from here. The Honorable Union Home Minister, Shri Amit Shah ji also addressed this venue, including the Honorable Chief Minister of Maharashtra, giving emphasis on how India is reworking to become from the 16th position globally to the 5th position in shipbuilding. And I just want to use this as an example to tell you how critical it is for the national as well as the global economy. Now, shipbuilding globally takes around 32 to 33 million tons of steel annually. 88% of this is in China, South Korea and Japan. Now, shipping as an industry, other than the steel that is being emitted for building the ships, emits close to around 858 million tons of carbon dioxide, which exceeds the aviation sector. However, if you look at steel production, it's an extremely carbon intensive process. A 10 meter by 10 meter plate, say 20 mm gauge, it will take almost 3 tons of CO2. Now, when I mentioned that 25% of this is direct loss due to corrosion, this forum and efforts such as this to come up with anti-corrosive, are protective, are structurally reinforcing and countering corrosion is where we need to focus. In the anti-corrosive market, India is a market player of 8 to 10%. We need to have deep intensive research on new materials, on applied technologies such as cathode-based technologies for prevention of corrosion. We need to bring in new materials which can replace with the same structural strength what we are using conventionally, prone to corrosion. All of these strengthen the national economy. If you are strategically strong, then you have a way ahead to lead and also provide a better life to citizens. It is indeed interesting that we are all congregating here, collaborating. And as I said, you innovate, you invent, you collaborate. And together, perhaps we can make the change and contribute to national growth. I am grateful for this privilege to be able to address you, to be a part of this, and I request you all to do your own little bit in nation building. No matter what your capacity, give it your best, because our nation has a great and a bright future ahead. And you are our wonderful citizens who contribute to this growth story. I thank you all for this opportunity. Jai Hind.